What is this strange device that I'm holding in my hands? I'll tell you about it and more next. Hey there, this is Mike with Drone Passport. Thank you very much for joining me for this video presentation. As always, I appreciate you taking time to be able to join me. I hold in my hands the Skyrover all-in-one controller. This is something that we have been waiting for quite some time. For those of us who purchased the Skyrover S1 almost a year ago. And as mentioned in a prior video, using that controller with a phone has always been a pain, but now that's gone away. Now, here's the unfortunate thing. The Skyrover all-in-one controller is not sold by itself. So you got to figure out a way to get it. And I did. I probably did this in a weird way, but I did it nonetheless. And here's your answer. I bought the S1 from Skyrover. The S1 is the entry-level drone. Has extremely basic functions, which I will explain in the upcoming video and go over some of those functions and some of the limitations that it has. This is designed to be an entry-level drone, but you also get the all-in-one controller. I took advantage of Prime Days and got this at $150 off the retail price that it was a week ago. So let's get to it. Let's get to the initial flight with this drone. All right, let's get to it. And of course, the best way to get to it is to begin with a takeoff facing Sawney Mountain. And this is always such a glorious way to start a flight. In fact, I've gotten to the point now where I know exactly how to point my drone to be able to make this flight. So it's always good to see Sawney Mountain before beginning a flight. All right, I want to take you now to something I did yesterday with quick shots and a circle. And this is a circle that was done over the soccer fields. And unfortunately, this particular drone does not come with waypoint missions, and that is very unfortunate. The second disappointment is that when you do quick shots with this particular drone, you lose your forward obstacle avoidance, and that's also disappointing. The third disappointing thing about using quick shots is that the video quality drops from 4K 60 to 4K 30. That also is unfortunate. It would be nice if it could remain the same throughout, but unfortunately that is not the case. But the imagery here is quite good. The gimbal is stable and it is flying around seamlessly. There were no wind issues when this video was taken. It's pretty straightforward. Very smooth. There was a person out on the soccer fields who was doing some maintenance. And I don't know if you'll be able to see that person or not, but anyway, regardless. And you can see that this soccer field is well used by the many groups, youth groups that play soccer here. I came over here the other day and they were mowing the lawns. Again, very stable, very smooth. This is a very quality video that's coming from here. You can't dispute that. And this is an entry-level drone. So let's keep that in mind. All right, we're about to leave the soccer fields and we'll move to our next item as part of this initial flight. And this is going to be a circle around the Vickery Village. Now, I always like to do this because there is the clock in the middle of the buildings, and I like to highlight that and fly around it. Always makes for an interesting shot. Again, gimbal is stable, camera is stable, drone is stable, everything is functioning as it should. And again, the image quality here is 4K 30 frames per second because it is using quick shots. I'm just amazed at the precision that not only this drone, but all drones have when you put them in this particular mode. It makes everything look easy, smooth, no nervous twitch when you're flying here. It's really a great, great image. Just the issue with the forward obstacle avoidance when you're doing a quick shot, that is very disappointing. And hopefully there will be a firmware update that will correct that. But right now, I accept this drone as a very basic drone. And it's meant for those that are just getting into the hobby. So those of us who have flown drones for years, we know that this is a drone that may not have all the bells and whistles that other drones have, but it's certainly a quality drone, to say the least. All right, we're going to fast forward to some additional footage that was shot, and this is going over some fields heading towards Sawney Mountain. And again, this is a great image in terms of looking at all of the colors, because you've got green and you've got even more green. This is just such a lush picture with all of the shades of green. It's quite beautiful, if you ask me. And the camera does a good job of distinguishing between those colors. Excellent, excellent job. And again, everything is stable. Now this is a normal flight right here. So the forward obstacle avoidance is working as designed. We're transitioning now to hole number 1. Again, one of the things that I usually do during a routine flight in this area. Again, this is a normal flight. The forward obstacle avoidance is working as designed. The image quality is 4K 60 frames per second. So when you do fly normally, it does render in the full 4K. So keep that in mind when you're flying this particular drone. Again, the colors are great. Everything is smooth, and it was a perfect day to fly. May have been a little overcast, but it was a perfect day to fly. All right, we're going to transition to another feature, and that is Hyperlapse. So the Hyperlapse image quality drops to 1080p when you do that. So keep that in mind. And again, obstacle avoidance is deactivated during that functionality. And finally, we're going to show the dreaded pond. Or not finally, but yes, the dreaded pond will have its own little feature in this video. And again, this is a circle using quick shots. Everything is quite stable. You can distinguish the colors. You can see the clouds as they move by. Very, very pretty. Although the golf course is constantly worn out. This golf course gets played so often that you can see that the fairways here are just absolutely worn down. And I know this golf course has invested a lot of money in trying to keep up with this course and its maintenance. Or sometimes they just don't do a great job, in my humble opinion. And you have to wonder, where are all of your dues going to? But anyway, I'm not a member, so who knows? All right, the next thing to show is another takeoff. And this takeoff obviously is going to look the same as the original one, but there's one thing that's very different. You'll notice it here in just a second. And this is one of the beauties of this new controller. And that is having the ability to zoom without hitting a function button. That is so needed with this particular drone and this controller. You can zoom in and out easily. All right, so I want to share two photos with you. One, this is a panorama, basic panorama. The next is a 180 panorama, and that is really a great image there, if you ask me. All right, let's wrap it up. Okay, that's going to conclude the flight and the imagery from the inaugural flight of the S1. As mentioned throughout the narration, there are some limitations with this drone, and those limitations are disappointing. But again, you have to understand that this is an entry-level drone. So therefore, there are going to be items that are going to be omitted or done in a limited fashion. For example, obstacle avoidance is turned off when you do quick shots, and also when you do hyperlapse. Hyperlapse is not in true 4K, it's in 1080p. The circle videos in quick shots is done at 4K 30 frames per second, but all other shots were filmed in glorious 4K 60 frames per second. The other part is, of course, the panorama photos. I only shared 2 of those photos. The third, the 360 view, did not turn out so well. And I did not go back and try to retake that, but I'm sure I'll try to do that again. But now I have this drone. It gives me the ability to do some comparison and contrast between its big brother, the X1, or the Potensic Atom 2, which is what it's really closer to in terms of capabilities. The only function that's missing is waypoints. And that, again, is disappointing. But the good news is we have this, the all-in-one controller. And that is awesome. But anyway, so that's going to put a wrap on this particular video. I appreciate you taking time to be able to watch. If you are a subscriber to the channel, thank you, as always. I appreciate you being part of this, and I appreciate your loyalty to the channel. If you are a new subscriber, thank you for being here. I know that our numbers are still creeping upward, and I appreciate everyone taking part in that. If you are not already a subscriber, I invite you to join and be a part of this. I would appreciate the patronage. And also, if you could give me a thumbs up, that would truly be appreciated as well. All right, this is Mike with Drone Passport. Thank you all for joining again. I really appreciate it. Bye for now.